Origin just wants to reaction. This is Joe Biden wants to unleash grizzly bears on a rural community. Also, government cheese caves exist. Fine. This was channel The Fat Files. It's a different channel. Yeah, YouTube recommended me this video. I'm like, oh, look at that. Federation posted another video. But no, it's from the different channel. But yeah. So I guess he made another channel that something doesn't have to do with directly military things, I guess. As in government releasing bears. Surely there is like more to it than that, rather than just point blank a government is releasing or some shit like that. I don't know. I hope there's more to it than that. Yeah, I've been watching Federation videos and other military style videos a lot. I like all the like military things, basically equipments, some stories about badass, like basically straight out of Hollywood level shit. Basically, that feels like fiction, but it's not. It's reality, which is like, I'm not gonna lie. If I had never heard of this story as true stories, and if somebody told me like, oh, what movie is that, I would never believe it. But apparently, that's true. All the like eager beavers and all those different stories like legless heroes and God knows what, all the badass politician, badass marine, all that shit is true, which is like insanity. So this is, I don't know, like bears releasing into why would you do that, right? But, I don't know how to say that. Like, why would you? I get it, like protecting the ecosystem, protecting like certain species in there, but releasing that into rural community, implying that there are people living there. Rural community. I don't know what that rural community actually means, but I'm guessing it's just like where people live, right? It's not some forest or something. So if there are people living there and they're releasing this bear, that's point blank criminal. How are they allowed to do that? How is Supreme Court allowing that? But yeah, so let's watch this one. Remember, people, reflect more reaction, don't forget to subscribe. So I know which type of videos react to more. If you haven't seen other reactions to factors and things like that, check out the link in the description or in the end of the video end card, I guess. And let's do it.
This is probably going to come off pretty political, but I promise you it's just me being anti-bear.
Everything's
okay,
political.
I'm just going to be honest with you. I don't like bears. Anytime bears are involved, it's not going to be a good time. Okay, the Chicago Bears, terrible football team. A bear market, that means the economy's doing bad. And then you have grizzly bears, which are absolutely terrifying. So when I wake up one day and this is in the headlines, obviously I'm gonna get a little bit upset, okay? It reads like I'm living in the Hunger Games. Basically, the Capitol is gonna start systematically releasing grizzly bears near rural communities. I'm not about it. But like an adult, I realize that news headlines are pretty misleading, so I read the entire article and it's pretty accurate. Basically,
National Park Service, Wildlife Service. Okay. Fucking hell. I don't understand people, right? I said that and people get pissed off in the comments with whatever. Look, man, I'm always like, I try to stay more sane as I can because too much of getting involved in either way can warp your reality, right? Humans come first. I always say like, okay, you love cats, you love dogs. I love animals just as much as the next guy, right? Yeah, love all the animals, right? I realize all the need of the animals and things. I even say like fuck mosquitoes, and people get pissed off in the comments. Like, are you kidding me? Mosquitoes are the biggest threat to humans, basically biggest predator. I get it, they have place in the ecosystem, but still. Now, grizzly bears releasing in rural community, that's gonna cause some kind of a damage. I still remember watching those clips of Alaska where people are afraid of if there's a knock in the door every night or something. They are literally afraid. They sleep with a shotgun because that's probably a grizzly bear or something. You're releasing this in rural community where people are, where kids are. Are you fucking kidding me? How is this allowed? If anybody like defends it, yeah, but the bears are important too. Fuck bears, man. Fuck dolphins, fuck bear. What are the stop oil, right? So they were stopping the road of schools, and his argument was, but what about the dolphins? Man, fuck your dolphins. What, you think my kids are not gonna go to school for your dolphins? You know what? I hope dolphins get extinct if that's the case. Humans come first. Anybody thinks otherwise, are a fucking traitor at that point. Right? Nobody says like I'm loyal to humanity because you don't have to. Before your nationalism or patriotism, being loyal to human is the first thing ever. We don't say that because we don't have to, but apparently now we do.
The federal government wants to release 7 grizzly bears every year for the next who knows how long into this area in Washington state, and they want to get that number up to 200 grizzly bears. Which brings us to the obvious question, why? Why the fuck would you do that? And I have looked and looked for an answer to this, and as far as I can tell, the only reason they want to start reintroducing bears into this part of the country is because fuck it, bears used to live there and bears are cool, I guess, is what their strategy is. Which, first of all, no, they're not cool, okay? This isn't a fucking Disney movie. That's not Baloo talking about the bare necessities in the forest. That's a 700-pound meat missile covered in fur that can run 35 miles an hour that eats its prey ass first, okay? There's nothing cute about that. Do you understand the gravity of what I've just explained to you? Brock Lesnar weighed 265 pounds when he was the world heavyweight champion. This bear is equivalent to 3 Brock Lesnar's running at you at 35 miles an hour, and to put that into perspective, Usain Bolt tops out at 27.5 miles an hour. Okay, the average American can't outrun heart disease. We're definitely not going to be outrunning fucking grizzly bears if it comes to that. And I can hear the comment.
Oh, first of all, respect to Federation talks about Brock Lesnar, but still, like that image, 3 Brock Lesnar's running at faster than Usain Bolt. Nah, I don't like that. Now I really don't like bears. Now I'm at the stage like fuck bears at that point. Yeah, if you see bear in front of you, you're probably gonna die at that point.
Comment section already. Actually bears are more scared of you than you are of them. No, that's not true. That's some shit your dad told you when you were 7 years old on your first camping trip so that you would shut the fuck up and go to sleep so he could bang your mom in a tent, okay? That's not reality. And then you get all the environmentalist people, but the ones that live way far away from this area, because environmentalists never advocate for shit when it's actually in their own backyard and it affects them.
Exactly,
but they're gonna say some shit like, the humans eradicated those kind, gentle creatures, and they used to live in that area, so we should really bring them back. No, okay, we used to have dinosaurs too, and there's an entire movie series about why bringing those back is a terrible idea, okay? Maybe we got rid of it for a reason. Have you ever...
Again, I'm gonna say this once again. I'm up for bringing back any bear and land if it means no humans are hurt in the process. Anything you do, it comes in a cost of humans, fuck you at that point. Want to release bears in a jungle or something where humans are not concerned? Go for it, right? Even if you spend government money, fine, tax money, I'm all for it, fuck it, fine, right? I'll pay for that, why not? If you're gonna send it to a rural community where there are kids and kids go to school and you want to release bears and you're just like, man, but what about bears? Man, fuck bears. Seriously, this warped reality people have where they put humans aside and just thinks about animal, that pisses me off.
Thought of that because last I checked, the easiest way to get a city named after you on the West Coast is to get killed by a grizzly bear and then they just name a city after you. And then we have to address the elephant in the room because whether you're left, right, or center on the political spectrum, you have to admit that there is an extra layer of comedy in the fact that Joe Biden, of all presidents, wants to start releasing grizzly bears. Okay, look, I'm not a political analyst or somebody whose opinion you should take very seriously, but I do think it's kind of bad taste to, on one hand, be like, I want to ban powerful guns because I don't think people need them. Also, I'd like to start releasing grizzly bears indiscriminately. Okay, look, I don't ever want...
Look, man. Okay, seriously, man. I'm not the one for guns or whatever, right? All the shootings and things is happening, I don't like that. You can have your own view about, US Second Amendment or whatever. I don't like that shit because I'm in India. There are no guns here. So my take will always be why do you need guns? You live in society or whatever. But that is some pretty bullshit. You have stance of banning guns, but at the same time, you're going to release bears where people will need gun to hunt. What is wrong with you? How can you do shit like this, right? So that is just insanity. Joe Biden, basically Democratic Party who wants to get rid of guns, are releasing bears of all animals. Bear is the top food chain animal, basically top predator, right? If I were to think what 3 type of animals I'm scared of the top, that would be the biggest threat would be tiger, lion, and bear. And I'm guessing some scenarios bear would be much dangerous than the other 2 because it's a fucking bear. It can even climb trees and everything. I've seen, bear climbing fucking whatever, light poles or whatever that's 30, 40 foot high. That is scary shit. I saw the Tier Zoo video on it and that just terrified me.
want to get asked why I need a high-capacity magazine ever again. There's never been a better excuse to have access to a lot of bullets than the federal government colluding with grizzly bears. I mean, this has to be a joke, right? Like, somebody at the White House is just being petty, like, these goddamn gun nuts want the right to bear arms, we're gonna give them the whole fucking bear. Okay, look, regardless of whoever's in office, whether it's a Democrat or Republican, all I'm saying is that the federal government...
Look, man, Trump wanted to ban all the Islamic countries or whatever, and Supreme Court got away. Like, no, that's not how things work, right? We live in democracy, free world. Certain thing crosses the line, we can't have it. How are they gonna justify releasing bears where humans live? Are you gonna release tigers next?
Can't do anything without fucking it up. Okay, this is a terrible idea. You know what? Let me give you an example off the top of my head. In 1920, the United States government banned alcohol, okay? And overnight, every bar in the country either had to shut down or get turned into an ice cream parlor. So a bunch of them did. And then you have all these people that would hang out with their buddies at the bar, and now they're hanging out at the ice cream parlor. So in many ways, ice cream filled the social gap left behind by alcohol. Got that? Okay, wonderful. By 1924, people didn't quit drinking alcohol as much as the US government would like, so they decided that they were just going to start poisoning alcohol and giving it out to Americans. 41 of them died for sure. Some estimates go up to as many as 10,000 being poisoned. Okay, fast.
Would you back up? What? US government poison alcohol because they want to, hey, you want to drink alcohol, they'll poison you. Your own fucking people? How the fuck that works? All the drug epidemic, right? It became so much that even our banning it is not going to work. So their government were literally providing clean syringes because at this point, we don't like drugs, but you're still doing it and you're our people. So we don't want you to die. So we're going to give you clean syringes. That makes sense to me, right? That fucking thing makes sense to me. I'm going to poison my own people if they want to just to send a message or whatever. So people stop drinking, which they obviously are, is insanity. This is some next level shit, man.
Fast forward 1933, Prohibition gets phased out, but you have an entire generation of children that grew up eating ice cream every day because it was the social bond that held America together because it had replaced alcohol. So the United States government needed to have a bunch of milk because they were going off to World War II and all their soldiers loved eating ice cream and frozen dairy treats. This is why to this day, every Navy ship has an ice cream machine on it and it's mandated by naval code or whatever. And because the US government needed all this ice cream to feed their army, they needed a bunch of milk to make that ice cream with. And dairy farmers weren't even a thing yet because refrigeration had just come out and it had never been feasible for one man to just harvest a bunch of milk from a ton of cows. It had never been done before in human history. And at first, it works out great, okay? Fast forward, World War II ends, the Allies win, the world is saved from the Nazis and the Imperial Japanese. Hooray. Now, the army went back home, they can buy their own ice cream, and these dairy farmers don't have anybody to sell all this milk to, and the government's not about to let the dairy industry just collapse because they're the ones that convinced all these people that they had to become dairy farmers in the first place. So the government is like, fuck it, I'll buy all the milk. And then the government's like, what?
Oh, love that. Didn't you already cover this about cheese caves, right? Government is just storing all this cheese and shit.
Do we do with all this milk? And somebody says, hey, let's turn it into cheese. That way it can sit on a shelf for a little while without going bad. Then all this cheese started stacking up and they're like, fuck it, we're just going to go hide it in a mountain in Springfield, Missouri. So that's what they did. They just kept shoving cheese into these caves every year. And every new president that came in, they're like, he has to sit through the briefing where they're like, yo, guess what? The US government is buying all this milk, turning it into cheese. There's a mountain of cheese in Springfield, Missouri. In real life, it's a thing. And we
okay, wait a minute. So they actually had a production place where they turned milk into cheese. Because milk cheese. It's no, that's not. You have to turn milk into cheese. And I'm guessing at that scale, you need an actual production thing, right? Dairy level production thing that turns milk into cheese or some shit. So you also have to provide for that. Okay, milk, but we'll make cheese because I'm guessing cheese lasts longer or something. So they just made cheese and
we can't stop buying the cheese. We don't know what to do with it. Then Ronald Reagan gets elected and he's like, we're spending $1 million a day in refrigeration for a bunch of cheese that nobody's eating. We have to get rid of it. So he proposes to the US people, hey, hear me out. I've got 500 million pounds of cheese. I want to throw it in the ocean. Okay, they get mad and they're like, no, we paid for the cheese. We would like the cheese at a minimum. You've taken our money. You've turned it into cheese. Give us the fucking cheese. Okay, it's a relatable human emotion. So the government cut up all the cheese into 5-pound blocks and started handing it out to people. And this is where government cheese comes from. Okay, so
Yeah, I mean, I don't get it. Like, why they just decide to fucking throw it into water? And the first thought wasn't like, okay, let's give people free cheese. Is their fucking money? What is this like? One thing I learned during COVID time is like people were throwing away their, milk and everything because donating that to somebody, just the logistics of that, like trying to transport, take that there would cost more than the item itself. So they were literally, I've seen people like throwing milk into the gutter and things. They were just throwing everywhere. I'm like, but then I realized, those things are complicated. So that was the thing with that. Like, okay, we'll give cheese to people, but like transporting that where people need it and things might cost even more or some shit.
That goes on for a while. Fast forward, Bill Clinton ends up getting elected, and he's like, I have an idea about how to solve this milk cheese cave situation conundrum. I'm going to go to the FDA. I'm going to have them form an offshoot nonprofit company known as DMI, Dairy Management Incorporated, except this isn't going to be a nonprofit where like they take charitable donations. No, we're going to make it a legal requirement for every dairy farmer in America to give these people a portion of their money so that they can advertise for them, because apparently milk and cheese isn't good enough on its own. Okay, if you're not picking up what I'm putting down, I'm trying to tell you that the Got Milk ad campaign that was in every school cafeteria for like 3 decades is a government-funded psychological
Wait a minute, is he Roddy Piper? Looks like him, right? That's him?
operation to convince people to drink more fucking milk because the US government fucked up buying ice cream in the 1940s. And now they want me to not own guns while simultaneously trusting their ability to systematically release fucking grizzly bears.
That is without a doubt the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Okay, I'm done. I need a beer. I gotta go. Thanks for watching. Best way to support the channel is go buy some merch over thefatelectrician.com. Quack bang out. But we'll see.
Oh, there is more.
I'm probably never going to upload this video, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, he just made this like, wait a minute, I have this more idea, more than just military videos. And he finally uploaded it. Look, man, one thing I know about like countries like US and all that, like basically democratic countries, is that like certain organizations work on their own, right? So I'm guessing this like whatever national park people or whatever basically pestered this like government, like Biden government. They're just like, okay, fine, they just agreed to it. And obviously if you're like a national park guy or whatever, right, you're just worried about animals and national park related shit rather than actually having common sense and shit, right? And they just agreed because I don't know, some like quid pro quo type of shit, like Europe, my shoulder, Europe. I don't know what goes in the background, whatever, but they agreed to this because they probably got something in return or something. I don't know, there's too much shit goes on. That's what politics is. But still it doesn't make, like, none of them like literally took 2 steps back and really looked at like commonsensical way, like, are we really talking about like releasing bears in the place where people live? I still don't believe this. I feel like there's still more than this, or maybe it's just bullshit. They'll just cut it off, or like, somebody will intervene or something. Like, it's like, what, you're gonna release bears in cities now? Tigers, fucking wolves. Let's release wolves into cities. I'm pretty sure rural community means like, villages and shit, right? Like rural places where people live, farms and things. People, kids go to either those yellow buses to school and shit. Right? What is that, like Stranger Things type of shit, right? That's what I'm envisioning. If that's the case, like, how does that make sense? Like, bear, that's a deadly fucking big ass thing. Like he said, like 3 Brock listeners. That's insanity. That doesn't make sense to me. If this is real, like, I don't know what, like, after this, I don't know, like, let's just dissolve the government, like, go back to states being their own or whatever, like fucking Wild West shit. This is insanity. Alright, well, if you like my content, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.